Smell it, I'm closer. Welcome back. Today we're going to be doing something fun and colorful. We're going to be making some colorful masks out of objects we find around the house. So let's get started. I'm going to put on my trusty glasses, help me see everything better. And then today we have a little different setup for the GoPro. It's a little overhead thing I've rigged up here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this on so that it'll give us an overhead shot. And we'll put it into the harness. With any luck, that'll give us an overhead view as we're working here. Okay, so today the biggest thing the primary piece that you're going to need, the biggest thing, is going to be a piece of paper about this size. So I have a piece of old vinyl paper. It can be just a piece of regular paper. If you have an old poster board, we can use the back side of that. If all else fails, you don't have anything else around the house, maybe a brown paper bag, and we can use the part that doesn't have any printing on it. So those are just some options. Since I'm doing this along with you, I decided I'd try something that I have around the house, which is this piece of Pantone paper. So the first thing we're going to do is turn the paper vertically, and we're going to fold it along the vertical edge. What we're going to do on the paper is we're going to lay out the face, the eyes and the nose, and we're going to lay it out on the back side of the paper. And the reason we're going to put it on the back side of the paper is because when we draw with our marker, which is the next item you're going to need, when we draw with our marker on the back side of the paper, when we cut it out, you won't see if you miss some lines. What we want to do next is we want to take the paper and you want to hold it to your face to kind of get an idea of where to put the eyes and the nose. And what we're going to do is put our nose right about in the middle. So that'll give you an idea of where to put the eyes. So kind of hold our finger there, we kind of got a good idea where to put the eye. The next step is we're going to take our marker and we're going to give him some angry eyes. And the next thing is we need a nose. So we're going to come down to the nose, the nostril part, like that. So here's where the next item you're going to need is a pair of scissors, and it's easier if they have a point, and I will show you exactly why. Generally I have a pad down to protect my desk surface, but we're going to just use a piece of paper today. When you have a point like this, you can use the point rather than jabbing the scissors into the paper. So what you do is you put along the edge here, you put the paper down on the point down on the point you want to cut, and you just kind of lift up a little, and that gives you just enough of a hole. Get that out of the way again. Okay, so we put our scissors in and we're going to cut up to the top. Turn around and go back the other direction. Show you through both layers of the paper. So now we've cut the eyes. And I've left the top part, and I'll show you why in a moment. Okay, the next part is we're going to cut the nose out. And you see that I left the line here just as I didn't go to the edge, and you're going to see why in just a moment. So cutting from, again, from the folded part of our paper, we're going to cut the nose out right along the lines that we just drew. We're just going to cut right up to the edge of it, maybe just a little further. But you see, we're not going to cut it off of it. So there's a reason for that. Okay, so the next thing is I left this piece on the top. And the reason I did is we're going to turn those into eyelashes. So you'll see what we're going to do to these. Just going to cut slits right up to the edge of the line that we didn't cut. I think you see where we're going with those. Okay. Open this up. I'm beginning to see the direction it's going. So what you can do at this point is you can take something round like a pencil. I'm going to turn this upside down, kind of push those through a little. At this point, kind of bend those up a little. What you can do is you can wrap them around a piece of paper and get a fold on there. You see what we've created now. So just by not cutting that part of the paper away, we now have some extra details. Okay, so now you can hold that up to your face and you can see, oh, it's starting to look like a mask. Okay, so the nose, what we can do here, we can add some details to it later, but you can kind of fold it up like that. Just put a crease in it. And you'll see what that does. So it kind of holds the nose out a little bit. So we're going to put this back together again. We're going to fold it back in half. And now we're going to add our mouth. And I'm going to give him an angry mouth, because I think he just looks, because he's green, he looks like he's probably angry. So we're going to give him angry mouth. Then we're going to cut that out. Save your extra pieces, because we can use those for other parts, like maybe somebody needs a mustache. Okay, so now we've got the angry face going. Okay, now that we've got our face part, now we're going to give the head a shape. Which normally you draw the shape of the head and you put the face on the head, but we're doing it a little differently. So let's start with, I'm going to give him some hair, and maybe a really big ear, some whiskers, and then, so what we're going to do is give him some funky hair, and then a big ear, and then maybe some whiskers that come off this way. More of his face, and maybe a beard. Okay, so now we have the shape. We're going to cut that out. One trick you can do is, instead of getting your paper in here and trying to turn your scissors around is always cutting into the paper, and that way you can also save pieces for other projects or for this project. So by cutting into it, then you can always come to a point. Sometimes you have to put your scissors in there funny and work it around. I've been keeping these videos at 10 minutes, but I think this one's probably going to go a little bit longer. That's okay. We're having fun. Somebody wrote in and asked me to do something colorful, so I thought this might be something a little less technical. Fun thing about making these videos is normally you would probably want to experiment. Me as the artist, I'd probably want to experiment and try these projects before I make a video, but I think it's a little more fun that I just do it right along with you for the first time. So that way if I make a mistake, I can show you that, hey, we all make mistakes, no big deal. Just sometimes mistakes are where the best art comes from. Okay, so now we're ready to unfold. Ready? We're starting to have a mask now. Fold that nose up, and now we can start putting some decorations. We can do a few things. As I told you last time, you have some glue. All I had was wood glue, so I'm going to be using some double stick tape. If you have double stick tape, that's great. If not, regular tape will work as well. Okay, so now we're going to start adding some decoration to this. So I think what we should do first is, I jokingly said a mustache, so I think maybe that's what we should add. So we'll pull out a piece of black paper I have here. Maybe you have red paper, that's fine too. And we're just going to kind of judge. Actually, forget I said that. We can use our, where it is, we can use this as our judge for our mustache. So put that down. It gives us the idea of the arch. And we can do this, this, and cut that out. Have a mustache. Take a little piece of double stick tape. Doesn't take much. You don't have to put much. Using regular tape, just make a little loop. Well, let's just use the same black. And this time I'm just going to kind of make a beard for him. Another piece of tape. There, just kind of add a little direction. Maybe we can also use the same scrap to create some eyebrows. Like S's or something. Piece of tape. One. kind of funny looking. Okay, so now if you have some other colored paper, you can give him some funny teeth. These you don't have to make a pattern, just make it up yourself. We're going to give him a gap in between his teeth. Give him a little character. Kind of like cutting a pumpkin or something for Halloween. Okay. This, we're going to actually attach it on the back side. You'll see why in a moment. Those out the lips and then attach it. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to show you another little trick that I learned from an art teacher many moons ago. That means a long time ago. Take a little piece of paper, fold it in half, and it's what I call ping pong paddles. Just watch what I do here. A little stem, and then a circle, as close to a circle as you can get. And there. Then we'll take and cut just a little pie shape out of the ping pong paddle. And we cut the ping pong paddle in half. Flip this over, and once again we're going to attach it from behind. And that will give us a little eyeball from the outside. Even though our eyes are going to be in the mask, this will just add a nice little detail that when people see you in the mask, oh wow, look at that. Look at that detail. Back over. Pull those eyelashes back up. And give them a good fold. You don't want to stay up very well. You can take a piece of scrap paper and a black marker. This will be fun. Fold this down, and then just take the black marker and color the back side. Same on this side. You don't have to color it all, just enough that it gives the impression. This thing needed help being folded down anyway, so. Always put your caps back on your pens, that way you don't get a mess and they don't dry out on you. Okay. Fold those. Now you see where we're going. Okay, so now we're going to do something a little interesting to, depending on the paper that you've used here. Remember keep in mind what surface you're working on. If you're working on your mom's dining room table, you might want to take extra care. Sometimes you can put down some cardboard if you're working with ink or something, but if you're working with something sharp, you want to have something that will absorb that. But what we're going to do is we're going to put some creases in these ears and put some folds to give it a little bit of dimensionality. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the point of our scissor and we're going to burnish it into the ear. You don't want to go too deep. You don't want to rip the paper. If it's thick enough paper, it should work. Thin paper, this you might want to try very lightly. This is pretty thick paper, so I'm going to push down, and you're just going to burnish a line, and then we're going to do the same thing on this side. Okay. And the reason we're going to do that is that will give you a natural, you might be able to see in the shadow there, it's going to give you a natural crease. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of fold the paper along that crease. I have to fold it in half, just enough that it gets a bend to it. Same thing on this side. And you'll see in a moment why we're doing that. And then to give it maybe a little bit more extra, we're going to do the same thing going down this way. Fold that as well. I kind of almost went through the paper, I think. Okay, so now when we hold our masks up, it should give them a little bit more, should give the ears a little bit more dimensionality, a more 3D effect. Okay, so now you can really just add decorations as you choose. You can use, I like Sharpie markers because they're good for a lot of things. So we could use a Sharpie marker to maybe enhance the whiskers along the side. Maybe along the bottom too. Lift that up. There you go. You can actually add a dot in the center here. Really, really give a nice detail. Maybe you can twist them up a little bit so they look weird. Alright. So now you see. Ooh. Alright, so now flip it on its back, and if you've got masking tape, or as you know I have double stick tape here, but if you have masking tape you just make a couple loops with the tape, and then most everyone has some sort of 2-liter bottle or something around the house that is round. I have an old cheese balls jar full of caps, which if you don't collect plastic caps, maybe you start doing that now, and we can do a project next with using some of these little plastic caps. So we're going to pick our mask up and put our fingers where the tape is, wrap it around the container, and stick it in place. It's a great way to display your mask. Flip the eyelashes up, maybe fold the ears up a little bit, and there you have a angry mask. Hope you had fun. See you next time. Bye.